as well as buildings at the present village. Today, there is no trace of the old village, but an attraction was the Virtue Well nearby, where water had healing properties and where employment was gained from the freshwater mussel pearl industry, which was Crown property. In Tytler's History of Scotland, we learn that pearls were exported up to the year 1400. And so it was, as trade with the East increased, the more perfect Oriental pearl killed the Scottish industry. We hear too that children, centuries later, searched eagerly in the Leat with hopes of a fortune. Mussels were found, but alas, pearlless. Well, I now have with me Bill Smith, who's the local district councillor here in Leitholm. What are your earliest memories of this part of the world?
Well, coming to the school to start with, when I was 5-year-old, I used to walk along the road. There were no lifts to the school, there were no school buses. Mm-hmm.
And where did you stay then?
Long Rig, just a mile along the road.
Was that a big farm?
No, 212 acres, I think it was.
And how many folk would be employed there then?
Oh, there'd be my father and other 2 horsemen and a woman worker used to do the cattle as far back as I can mind. There'd be 4 people working all the time on it.
So did you work with the horses at times?
Yes, I started working with horses along on the farm. And good promotion onto tractors eventually.
So what was the first tractor you were on? Can you remember? A Fordson?
Yeah, Fordson is an old standard Fordson.
For the metal wheels?
That's right, with the spuddy wheels, that's right.
Were there difficult things to drive?
No, really, I didn't think so. I was young and able in these days, it didn't bother us very much.
And how different was the village here at that time?
Oh, very much different. There's a lot of there's a lot of houses now that wasn't here then, like there've been a few built. But, you know, the people on the farms too, they never went away to Kelso or Berwick every Saturday, the same as we do nowadays, or because there's no cars, we had to bike or walk.
So you must have been fitter then?
An awful lot fitter, right enough, a lot fitter.
So if they did want to go to the likes of Edinburgh, how did they travel to Edinburgh?
Train mostly.
From Berwick?
No, from Marchmont. There was a station up here, a local station, and that line was closed. I don't know whether you remember what they talk about the flood year or no, you know, when a lot of the bridges were washed away. That was in
40.
A couple of hours, I would think, in these days right now.
And did you do that very often?
Oh, we used to sometimes get in on a Saturday night. We used to get a cheap fare on a Saturday night, and we used to get in there and have a drink and carry on, you know, and then back home again.
In January 1828, William Telford, the youngest but one of a family of 10, was born in the village. Telford's brief schooling lasted less than 3 years, and despite having to undertake a great deal of hard work for one so young, his craving for knowledge saw him finding time to read and study books borrowed from friends and neighbours. He emigrated to Canada in 1850 and amassed what is described as a comfortable competence for his farming sons. He became a poet of some fame in the land of his adoption. Although no Burns, he could express himself with clarity and force. He writes of his father, "Though he had not the rank, the gold, nor the soil, he was blessed with good hands ever ready to toil. He had 10 needful children to clothe and to feed, while I was the youngest but one of the breed. Sweet cakes were untasted, and tea very rare, but we always had plenty of plain Scottish fare. The plain fare would consist of porridge, barley bannies, soup and bacon. Every family kept a pig, and every part of the pig was eaten, except the squeal." Jock Hall can recall the pig killing not so long ago.
When I was at the school, you see, I used to get the tin bottle and just around the cork in it, and we used to go to hot head up at Miss Trotter, they called her, same as the woman's in their place here, but no relation, I don't think. And to repair, we used to bring a roast along from when we killed the pig at Swinton Mill. Just fair pleased with that.
And who else got the part of the pig?
Oh, the whole farm, nothing wasted. Everything was used.
And how frequently would a pig be killed?
pretty often. I think he had his goodness, say maybe once a month he can. They used to hang the hams up in the ceiling in the kitchen, you see, the living room, we should say.
Could you describe the pig killing?
Well, you see, all the men used to give a hand, used to milk the pig in the head, give an ox and cut its throat, and used to do a special job cutting it up, you see, used to half it through the middle, and they hung it in the vinyl, you see, for the air all afternoon, and then they used to, my grandfather used to cut it up at night into the various bits. It took a lot of work, I'm telling you, and they used to leave the hams in for about 6 weeks in what he called the brine and the salt, and used to take them out in 6 weeks, hang them up. What a mess in your head if you got in your head.
Aye, that was the case here, next door, the Marshalls, who's my grandfather. He had the tailor's business next door, and I believe he'd into the teens, he tailors working for him then.
And he was very much a specialist, wasn't he?
Oh, and he specialised in livery for gamekeepers and grooms and all that, you know, the riding bitches and all that kind of stuff right now.
And why was there a lot of business for that type of...
Because you know, there's a lot of mansion houses round about, and all the places had grooms, you see, maybe 2 or 3 or even 4 grooms. And they had a lot of employees, they had a gamekeeper, you know, and maybe 2, some of them are on even the tweeds, the uniform or whatever you like to talk about for them again. A family Mitchells was drainers, and they were real characters. They kept orchard dogs, you know, and did a fair bit of poaching, but you know, just one for the poach, some sort of style, you know. They were real characters right now.
Basil Bobby and Yorkie. The other band was feared for Yorkie. They would shout, "Here's all Yorkie town, get into school." And then Bet Hepburn, they called her. She liked the men, but the women was off here for.
What about Puzzle Bobby?
Oh, he was a great character. He was canny and everything, and he made the puzzles, you know, and we used to get them wire puzzles and try and work them out, you know.
And did he charge you for them?
Sometimes, no, really. No, not really. It wasn't much on it he did, but he was good with the children. He was just to hand them a puzzle.
Was he a tramp?
I was a tramp. But we used to hurl the barrow around.
I think he went round a fair number of border villages, didn't he?
Oh, he did. And he used to sleep in some old smeddy at Swanton Mill, I remember. And he used to sleep in there for the night, and he used to kindle the fire up with the bellows and it was cold, like.
And where did he end up?
I don't know where he'd end up. No, I never heard tell him to finish. But his hand was full of needles. And needles in his hand swelled up. Whether he's making puzzles out of steel or something.
What about some of the other characters?
Well, old Billy Mills was a blacksmith, and old Billy Dryden, he was blind, you know. He was a great character. I used to come into his blacksmith's shop in the morning and he'd say to Billy, "How are the day, Billy?" Oh, Billy would say, "Me better." And was he the doctor? Old Billy would say, "Yes." He says, "What did he say?" "Oh, he says, a bigger bottle." And old Dryden used to say to him, "Get your clothes off and I'll help you off your skin." He was a great lad, doesn't matter where he took him. Along the road, he could bell him in 20 times, he'd tell him where he was. And he used to get drunk sometimes, and when he was working on the farm, the horse took him home. I lying in the cart, and the horse was walking home. When they traffic in their days, mind.
One of the other characters you mentioned earlier was old Yorkie.
Aye.
Tell me about him.
Oh, he was a kind of vicious old fellow to him. He used to set the dog on people, you know. Aye. He's buried up at Fogham. Aye. They called him the Yorkshire Shepherd, but we used to call him Old Yorkie. He was off writing for him. The boys like.
And he just wandered around the village, did he?
Aye, wandered around the village, all right. Aye, oh, aye. The school, I think he mainly went for the schools to get the children, you see. That's what I think.
And I have with me Bob Meikle, who's a retired publican living here in Leitholm. What pub did you work in?
Plough End.
And when did you go there?
About 1963.
And how long were you working there?
I was in there 16 and a half years.
And how did life change in the pub in those 16 years?
Well, got away more to food than city drink. And the prices went up terrible.
A lot of passing trade?
Oh, yes, used to be like passing trade. I don't think there's so much now, but it used to be like that.
And how many pubs were there in the village at one time?
There were two at one time. There was called that in the Black Horse. That's closed over 40 years ago.
I've now come along to the Leitholm post office and I have with me Mrs. Cavers. How long has the post office been here?
Well, roughly around about 50 years, I should imagine.
It's a most attractive facade too, isn't it?
It has, very old.
Do you get many comments from visitors about the appearance of the post office?
Yes, sometimes when strangers come in, they're surprised at seeing an old setup. They prefer it to the modern day, modern type.
You feel it's more personal?
Yes, yeah.
Now, how often are you open?
5 days, 5 half days in the week.
And is that common practice with most of the post offices in this area?
Well, it's becoming that for village post offices now. It's only not full-time at all.
And you obviously enjoy the fact that you're only working part-time and enjoy your garden and so on.
I do, very much.
And of course, being in the post office, you'll come in contact with most of the folks in the village here.
Yes, you know everybody in the village and district.
What are your earliest memories of going to the post office here in Leitholm?
Oh, well, it wasn't where it is at the present time. It was right at the top of the village.
My sister was in there, you see, and I mean the first exchange, that was the exchange there then, and she used to have an old-fashioned phone when it rang. I don't know much about it, but she used to plug in the plugs into the thing.
Like the
you
big
see.
jack plugs?
That's right,
Yeah.
in there, aye. McDougall was in there then.
And were there many people with the phone in the early days?
Oh, there wouldn't look like there's big houses and farmers, you know, I think. No, there were none in the village, no.
Of course, prior to that, there was a telegraph boy.
That's right.
Can you remember him?
Oh, yes, mine with a red bike. But I mind him on
And
the bike.
did he deliver telegrams all around this area?
Aye, the kind of fancy hot one, you know. Aye, there's all the rest of it. I used to deliver them. But I think, mind, when you send telegram boy, I don't know if they send telegrams. When we're talking about McDougall then, he used to come with the town with the Gulfstream or some of the bits with the telegram, that's it. And I used to see the telegram boy.
Yeah.
But I didn't know his name or name, you know.
But you, on occasions, had to take the telegrams to some of the houses when you were going out in your
Aye,
work.
I've seen me one day, I was going to Cairns, you see, and Mr. Allen was in the post office stand, and he said, "Will you take this telegram up?" He says, "Surely." I says, "I'll take them up." And here he handed me, I can't tell you much, so I said, "I didn't want that." Oh, he says, "You'll have to take it." He says, "It's been paid for delivery," you see, so I'll get...
You mentioned Cairns there. That's a well-known house in the area.
Oh, me, he says, been in there as long as I can remember, the old grandfather of John Menzies now.
Of course, that's Mingus of the news agents.
News agents, yes, aye.
Were there many people employed there?
Oh, there's a lot. There's 4 servants, and there's the nanny, and then there's the old nanny of all, and the scullery maid and nuts, and the cook. We put 6 then, anyway. And there's 2 or 3 gardeners, 2 foresters or something, and a handyman.
Of course, they would depend on the village for services.
That's right. Oh, yes. Aye.
What about some of the other larger houses?
Plenty. Huntons Hill, Belchester Wren, and Swinton House and Arran.
And where's Huntons Hill?
You can, as you go over the bridge, if you go straight along the first lodge on your left, turn up in there, and you come to Huntons Hill.
Of course, just opposite that entrance, there's a field, and regular travellers along this road from Kelso to Leitholm will notice that there are tree stumps in that field, with goats very often grazing round about them. Why are the stumps so large? They're perhaps 3 feet or 2 feet high.
Well, you see, when you cut the trees down, you see, there's nails in that, below that, the fence and everything, and it's in to your chin, harm your chainsaw, you see. That's the reason.
And it was at Huntons Hill in 1894 that Mrs. Hunter was persuaded that there was a great need for a qualified local nurse. By the 11th of February 1895, Nurse Nelson had been appointed. The first annual report of district nursing in Leitholm reveals that £85.15 was subscribed by many local people, and that the patient's fees came to £2.08.11. Nurse Nelson went about her duties in a pony and trap, visiting outlying villages on different set days in the week. The 12th annual report noted changes. Mrs. Hunter retired as treasurer and secretary. Nurse Nelson also retired, and her successor, Nurse Donaldson, agreed to do her work on a bicycle to save the committee the expense of the pony. The boy groom, by now getting £6 10 shillings a year.
And then as we come towards the village, we come over the bridge, of course. And to the right of the bridge, there's Flooders.
That's right.
What's Flooders?
Well, it got the name because it was a flooding, you see, but that's where the shows was and everything, and once a year, you see, big nights down there. Oh yes, it's public, there are a wicket gate on it, you go in as you want. We used to kite on there, to get in there and kite anytime you wanted, like.
Can you remember the shows?
Oh, fine, aye, when I was a boy.
The actual houses and things wouldn't belong, some of them did belong to the state's mine, but they've been sold off since, you know.
Interesting thing about this village is that there are very few houses that are identical.
That's right.
And there's an individuality about the houses.
I never thought about
Right
that.
along the
It's
street.
True, it is, that's very true.
And they're not all in a straight line, some are back from the road, some
the road,
yeah.
that's right.
And that's continued to this day with the new development of the old folks'
Yes,
houses.
that's right. That used to be the school, of course. At School Wine, they call the development there. You see, there's 6 or 8 new pensioners' houses there now, you see.
And of course you were at the school here.
That's right. I was at the school all my life here. I went I would go at 5 and left at 14, and I used to start working on the farm. Like.
Happy memories?
Oh, I quite liked the school, but I was quite pleased when I left it too, I think, right now.
Can you remember the teachers?
Yes, grand. There was a Miss Turnbull, who was one of the lady teachers when I went to the school to start with. Now, she was a Turnbull from Tudring, and she married Duddy Jeffrey up here, and they lived up the village here after. She left, actually to make room for a husband and wife combination, you know, when Mr. Curry was the schoolmaster then, he retired, and there was a couple then come in, his name of Plough come in after, and both the husband and wife taught there in the school. After that it was just a kind of one teacher school, more or less, again.
It was a very well built school, and truthfully I was very sorry to see it go.
Why did they close it?
Because there wasn't enough children at the time.
So where do the children go to school from here now?
Eccles.
No school, shame to you.
Are you sad about that?
Well, really, yes, because the situation's changed. There's a lot of children about the village now too, you see.
But when they did close the school,
there's some money, you see.
very few
But they
children.
change over the years, don't they?
But the houses that now occupy the former site of the school are superb. And,
Oh, good houses, oh yes, it's fairly tidied it up, it's nice.
and the gardens within that complex are excellent. Who looks after those?
It's George, I think, is it? George Goodley, aye, makes a good job of them. Aye, he does, aye. George's a very tidy chap.
And of course there's joiners too. There are 2 joiners at each end. My uncle was, Thomas Fairbairn was, and he's 7 joiners like. There's a place then, of course there are carts this sort. And
Did you help him?
well, sometimes, there's an old Ford car then, and he used to go to Cornhill Station for the coffins.
The hall's very busy. There's something in it just about every night in the winter time, you know, carpet ball, and the rural comes in, the women's rural, and young mothers, and different things is held there, and there was Swiss drives, you know, and the geriatric club that I've gone to now, it's held once a fortnight. Oh no, the hall's very busy. It's busier than the kirk, I'm afraid, right now. But we're a nice minister now, and Mr. Cartwright again, and he's a busy man. I think he's 4 parishes to look after. It's still going on in the kirk too, so.
And the kirk is hidden away really along the main street.
Yeah, it's off the main street right now.
On the 11th of July 1835, estimates were invited for the building of the present church. Robert Mauchline, stonemason, successfully tendered £97. The joinery work came to £103, and along with other accounts, the total cost was £366 and 9 pence. The church was in use 1 year later, on the 2nd of August 1836.
The Leitholm games I talked about. And I can mind when I was a boy and even on working, but mine have been stopped a long time now. I don't remember an awful lot about them.
Did you compete?
No, really, no, I never was a runner or anything like that right now.
So what sort of format did they have? Did they have professional runners?
Oh yes, well, they were all professional, of course, but there's some good runners used to come right now.
Where were they held?
In this field, the back of my house here, in the Mercian field.
Now, living in this area all your days, you've also been involved very much in music and played the accordion, and we're hearing your music through the programme this evening. Tell me a little bit about the cairns that you attended with your band.
Oh, quite a lot. In October we had a lot, you know. And I've seen you playing away with the band, and there were no microphones those days. You could hardly hear it at the other end, but they were still danced back to the door. Aye, great nights, a lot of dust.
Was that right? Of course, it just swept the barn, didn't it?
Oh, they swept it, and that was it, and the vibration put the dust up, you see.
Tell me some of the cairns. Tell me where some of the cairns were held.
Well, there's one up at Darlingfield, up at Mellerson, and Preston on the English side, and Mindrum used to go over here. The ends I was at was mostly over the border. I didn't care if there was many on this side. But there was way further back before my time, like. But there were great nights.
And who was in your band then?
Well, Jesse Turner, Peterson Wiles, George Peterson, and Willie Bell, but they were going on. Mrs. Turner, she's still alive. Aye.
Thinking of the dances that were held here in the village, you were saying they're very, very popular before the war and during the war.
Yes.
Why was that?
Well, there seemed to be no much else to do, like people used just to flock to them.
Where were they held here?
In the hall. We had one here on one Saturday night, and Swinton was alternative, you see. We didn't want to clash because it spoilt them both. And what crowds you got. But the biggest night ever we had was the People's Journal night. We used to have a queen, you see. And I'm not sure of the year, but it's way back years ago. The first one we had, we took what the People's Journal wanted to judge it. £89 it was. We drew in the door. Fantastic sum of money.
You mentioned quoiting there. When did you start throwing the coins?
Well, I was at Swinton Mill, 6-year-old. I was at Little Washers. I was playing there. Aye.
And who introduced you to the sport?
My father was, he was a great fighter.
Now, this part of the borders, Berwickshire and in the north of England, quoiting is still very popular. But there are very few quoiting clubs and groups in any other part of the border. Why is that?
I don't know, there are no many clubs. It just seems to be competitions and leagues. We have, a club advertised for a general meeting years ago, and nobody turned up, so it hadn't been me, it had been flopped now. But I'm interested in get 2 or 3 for a big game, that's all you want. I think a lot of folks backward to come forward, to play, because it would be very welcome. Of course,
in the very early days, quoiting started with the throwing of horseshoes, didn't it?
That's right, aye. That was
on farms too.
Farms, you see, they hadn't so much to do, and they got 2 hours for the dinner, and they used to quoit about an hour, and have an hour's relax, and see, the horses got 2 hours to rest, you see, that was the idea.
And that was Leitham's Jock Hall, talking about his lifelong interest in quoits. Leitholm, Berwickshire, yet another of our local communities that merits a visit. I'm indebted to Lady Ramsay and the Reverend Alan Cartwright for their assistance with the programme this evening. My thanks too to Margaret Cavers, Bill Smith, Bob Meikle, George Gourley and Jock Hall. I go out this evening with Jock Hall playing the tune Midlothian Pipe Band. For me, Alistair Campbell, thanks for listening. Good night.